Welcome, one and all, to our DM deep dive here with the inimitable, the voice among voices, Dungeon Master Mark Meer.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Oh, we are very delighted to have you with us today, Mark Meer, and also to have you joining us online so that we can share with you some of the secrets, some of the happenings of D&D in a castle from Mark Meer's perspective.
Hello, Internet.
So, Mark, tell me,
Mm.
you've come to many of these. In fact, you, I think, hold the record currently for D&D in a castle specific rounds. As a
Now,
dungeon master.
I know that it's a contentious battle between myself and Elisa Teague and B. Dave Walters,
That's
and
right.
we're neck and neck. So
Mhm.
who can say who's on top at any given time? But
Always
yes, I've done it a
vying.
lot.
Always vying for that top spot.
I don't like to think of it as a competition,
Okay.
unless I'm winning, and then it's a competition.
Then it's a competition, right? Well, Elisa Teague claimed yesterday that she had been to 3,700. 3,700 was the term. Castles.
Well, then I must be at least 37 and 3.
37 and 3.
I would guess.
Exactly.
And
Must be.
That's
must
just an
be.
estimation, but yeah.
Well, we'll do the count and we'll get back to you with that information. And so I do have a couple of questions for you today, and we're excited to be, of course, currently sitting at one of our D&D in a Castle events here at the Mohican Castle.
Yes.
Thalian's Rest, as we like to call it in lore.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me, so what's your experience so far of the grounds and the spaces here on site at the Mohican Castle? What types of fantastical castles does it remind you of?
I will say this, that the castles here in the States, they are not authentic historical castles,
That's
unlike
right.
the ones in the UK. However, they do tend to be a little more in the fantasy vein. Castles in the UK are actual castles, and they were built for defense, and they're very historical, but these ones are a little more whimsical. And I would say, I've often made the comparison between Landell's Castle and Rivendell. It's not like a replica from the movie, but it definitely has that feel.
That feel, exactly. Especially with the forest growing up all around the ground.
That certainly helps. That helps with the elven feel, yeah.
No doubt. And so you've already finished one round here this summer, and you're
Yes.
halfway through a second round, and the campaign that you're currently running here is Agents of the Kargat, am I not?
Agents of the Kargat, that is correct. And those who are Ravenloft fans will recognize that name as having a close connection with a certain Azalin Rex, the Lord of Darkon. Or I should say, the former Lord of Darkon in the current continuity.
Right.
However, this particular adventure incorporates some elements of past continuity, and it's sort of set somewhat in the past, and in some ways is the origin story of the version of the Domains of Dread that you see in the current Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
So incorporating some of that prequel idea into what's going on.
Little bit. I'm an old Ravenloft fan, like from way back from the original module, actually, in the 1980s. And I certainly kept up with all Ravenloft-related products that were put out over the many years and the many editions. And I was very pleased to get to be a part of the Black Dice Society, which was the official Ravenloft stream that Wizards of the Coast basically used to promote the new Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, in which I got to play one of the party characters, Brother Uriah Macabre, a cleric of Ezra, and I also got to play one of my favorite villains of all time, Azalin Rex himself.
Azalin Rex, yes.
And, it goes without saying that I also play Azalin Rex in my campaign.
Right. And you're quite well known for your cosplay here at the castle. You usually bring one of your array of characters from Captain Flynn, for example, to the castle. And so did you or do you bring that to the table? Do you show up at the table in cosplay?
I do like to. I will say at this one, I did not bring Azalin Rex because he involves a full head silicone mask, which is rather hot in the summer. It's a little warm. I think the climate in the UK is a little more suited to that. So I have brought Azalin Rex to the UK castles. I did not bring him this time. I just brought something a little more flowing, a nice robe that had a little more air circulation.
Right. Yeah, and would that be the robe that we saw in the live show that happened on site here this
time? Yes. I just a couple of days ago, I got to do my improvised Dungeons and Dragons show. And of course, all Dungeons and Dragons is improvised, but this is specifically a comedy show and with some audience participation. And the actors who are the player characters in full costume and not just sitting at a table. We're actually like acting it out and moving around. And in this case, I recruited a number of my fellow dungeon masters to be the player characters.
Right. Yes. And I really liked the structure of it. How you
and you actually you also played in case I need to remind you. Yeah,
I was going to avoid saying so.
I consider you a fellow dungeon master.
Oh, fantastic! I am honored.
Yeah.
But that structure that you used was really quite. I love the audience interaction element of it, where we went basically spiral by spiral, room by room, down the dungeon, and I thought it was particularly ingenious how you would, regardless of what the offer was from the player characters on stage, you would resolve each room succinctly and obviously quite humorously to the uproarious laughter of the audience there.
Well, so, I've been at this improv thing for a while now, so yes. Though I will say that the version that you saw the other night incorporated a lot more use of the giant die and things like that. I knew where I was in front of an audience of all D&D players, so yeah, I wanted them to get a chance to roll dice because Dungeons and Dragons players enjoy rolling dice.
And just for those that weren't there, 3 natural ones. Yes. All resulting in axe beaks besetting upon our party.
Yes, yep, that was a recurring natural. I mean, and I didn't plan for that. It's just that 3 natural ones did get rolled.
Right, exactly. So I had a good time on stage there. I presume you did as well, and I did. I know from the audience they had a good time, and this is the type of thing that is those unique things that pop up around the D&D in a Castle experience, because it wasn't actually part of our programming. But it was an added show in between our 2 rounds. So those that stayed between rounds, or those that came early to the second round, were able to enjoy that show as part of their experience here on site. And also one of the other flavorful things that we've added is different concerts or activities that are really one-time and unique, such as JCM, Jason Charles Miller, playing a concert.
Yes, yeah, I've had the pleasure of getting to catch one of Jason's private concerts, essentially, for the D&D to Castle guests.
Yeah.
And it had actually been discussed a few times, me doing improv D&D, and this is the first time it actually worked out timing-wise, so I was very glad to get to do it.
Right. And so this leads me into one of the questions that I have for you today, which is, of course, like you said, you have a wealth and breadth of improv acting experience as well as voice acting experience, but particularly improv. The guests that play at your table.
Yes.
How would you say you lean on or maximize your use of improvisation in order to deepen the role play for the effect of the guests?
I'd say improvisation is probably a vital, in fact, mandatory skill for any dungeon master, because you can plan as much as you want. You can try to cover all the bases and every contingency. The players will still surprise you. And probably whatever you have planned will go out the window the moment you meet your adventuring party.
That's right.
So you do have to be able to act on your feet and think on your feet and be able to immediately shift the direction of the adventure. You might have planned for them to go into a dungeon and they decide, no, we're going to climb a mountain with a random goblin we met at an inn. And then you also suddenly have to come up with a backstory and sometimes even a name for that goblin. He might have just been, there's a goblin at the bar and he was meant to just be part of the background, and they go, we go up and talk to him. And in fact, now he's our best friend and we just want to hang out with him.
So. And likely basically giving all the secrets to the campaign that they needed in order to solve it.
Yes, probably. Yes. Yeah.
Eventually. Fantastic. Yes. And so then the flip side of that is the planning element of it. You're also very well known for your carefully crafted campaigns.
Oh, well, thank you.
In the sense that especially your characters just are filled with life and filled with the ability to have conversation and character and specific choices.
Here's a secret that's not meticulous planning. That's also improv.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a secret that we have uncovered here together today.
I mean, there's some planning involved for, I do, especially at these events, like to play with all the toys. So I do like to have minis for all the monsters and have appropriate terrain and things like that. That said, if that needs to be jettisoned, I'll immediately just run to the castle library and grab some other miniatures that I might not have with me.
So. Yeah, well, makes sense. So, speaking of moments of roleplay, improv, comedy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What was, in your memory, or what pops to mind, one of the funniest moments that you've experienced here at D&D in a Castle? Not this particular round, but any of the rounds of D&D in a Castle.
Let's see. Well, this one is not funny, haha. It's more like that's funny.
Mm.
This was at Lumley Castle, where we often have our UK castles.
Yes.
Lumley Castle is haunted. It is famously haunted. They, in fact, even have an escape room built around the ghost and everything. Lily of Lumley is the name of the ghost. And so, we'd heard about Lily of Lumley pretty much every time we were there. But there was one particular castle where we were there for Halloween. Now, I did not witness this personally.
Okay.
But there were two DMs having a discussion, and there was some repair work was being done on a part of the ceiling, and they were just in a hallway talking. And as they were talking about the ghost, Lily of Lumley, suddenly a brick dropped out of the ceiling, narrowly missing both of their heads, and landed basically right between them. And written on the brick was Lily.
No.
Yes, no, it's true.
Okay.
And it was Lily, not two L's, but and subsequently, looking into it, we found out that there was a brick company called Lily around the turn of the century when these repairs were being done.
Right.
But it's still pretty eerie. So
No
that's
doubt.
funny. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned the specific spelling of Lily. That's how the name of the ghost is spelled.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Just one L, not two.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, that was very interesting, and they actually still have that brick now in a glass case in the pub at Lumley Castle.
No doubt. I mean, you need to treasure those objects.
I think so. Yeah.
As they are dropped from the spiritual realm.
So yes, that's I guess that's less funny than eerie, but yes.
Yeah. Wow. Shocking and obviously memorable.
Certainly.
And so, speaking of ghost castles in the UK, we happen to be headed towards, and we're proud to announce and honored that you're joining us once again for our spring 2026 D&D in a Castle.
That's right. I will be coming back for 2 rounds at, I believe it's Walworth Castle.
That's the right name.
Which I have not been to yet. I think the inaugural one is going to be in about a week from now.
Yes, actually.
And I'm not on that one. The next one I'll be doing is the spring, so I'll get to experience it for myself then.
As of this recording, they are 5 days away from starting D&D in a Castle in the new UK Castle, Walworth Castle. And you're right, that's the inaugural. That's basically the trial run and the start of our attendance there, as next year we've already announced, I believe, 5 different rounds that will be taking place in Walworth Castle.
Excellent. I'll be there for 2 of them.
2 of them, so far at least. And one of those, you're already sold out.
Yes, I think my first April round is sold out, but I believe that my second table seats are available for that one, and that is the 26th to the 30th of April.
That's right.
Okay, I got the date right.
All of those details were factually accurate.
Good.
Well done. Yes. And so in the first round, it was a private group that booked you out, all 6 players.
Excellent.
And in fact, they are returning players that played with you back in, I think it was 2022. And I won't say their names because they are welcome to make their choices to return when they like without being announced in these ways.
Sure.
But that is an invitation to those that are potentially interested in booking private tables with our dungeon masters, either before or after they are announced for any particular round. Get in contact with us at D&D in a Castle, and we'll do our best to set you up with a private gaming experience with a dungeon master either of your choosing or one we can choose for you. And so we're excited that you have been booked out in that way, and we invite you, if you're interested in doing so, to consider booking out Mark Meer for that second round with a private table as well.
Yes, that's right. And once again, that is April 26th to 30th, 2026.
Right. And we already touched base on this, but the campaign that you are running for that castle, I believe, is the same one you're running for this castle now.
Yes, that is the Agents of the Kargat, my Ravenloft campaign. And this table was sold out. The first table in 2026 is sold out. So, get them while you can.
Yeah, it's your opportunity to play this campaign. Well, why don't you give the audience a little teaser about the campaign itself? You did touch on, of course, the Van Richten's element of it.
Sure.
But if you wanted to give them a bit more of a hook.
Of course, right here. All right. So, in Agents of the Kargat, you will play Agents of the Kargat, the secret police force of the Lich King Azalin Rex, Lord of Darkon. Of course, working for a Lich is never particularly easy. You always have to watch your back because, your coworkers will likely stab you in it. But this particular campaign will take you across the domains of dread and beyond. So, if you have any interest in Ravenloft, any interest in, say, the Black Dice Society, then please sign up for Agents of the Kargat.
Mm, very well done. I'm intrigued and interested in joining you myself, although I doubt I'll have the opportunity. That said, with the Agents of the Kargat,
Yes.
this will be you'll be running it now a number of times, a number of different rounds.
Hmm.
So I'm curious what it's like when you have a new set of players come to the table, each with
Yes.
their characters that they've designed to likely attempt to either play well through the game or break the game that you've created.
Sure.
How does that impact for you if you're running this campaign again and again?
Hmm.
Does it completely change the campaign for you,
Oh,
or
it can. Yeah, it
yeah?
can utterly. You can go in completely different directions. Certainly, the resolution is probably going to be different in every case.
Hmm.
Uh, Agents of the Kargat is actually a revamp of the very first D&D in a castle campaign that I ever did.
Hmm.
And back then, we were sort of linking campaigns, so like there were crossovers between tables and things like that.
Right.
And so those elements aren't there anymore. So I had to sort of rethink the campaign and
Hmm.
sort of change it. Somewhat modular. You can lift out this encounter and put in this encounter, and I'm quite happy with where it is sitting right now.
Yeah.
And it's even more of a love letter to the Domains of Dread and Ravenloft as a whole.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, that's one of the works that you do over and over again is just reconfiguring to match both party and, as you said, the environment
Most
as it
certainly.
changes. So tell me a little bit about that. How do you find that the schedule and the opportunity here at D&D in a Castle impacts the gameplay?
Well, the fact is that here at D&D in a Castle, you're engaging in very intensive gaming.
Hmm.
Normally, when you play, it'll be every weekend, or given what scheduling is, every couple of weeks or every 3 weeks when
Hmm.
everybody can actually get together. Here, this is very focused. You have a 24-hour campaign that's played over 3 days, so
Hmm.
8 hours of gaming per day, and probably more because my games especially will tend to go late into the night,
Right.
especially on the final night.
Hmm.
And the other thing is that I find everyone here is very focused. You
Mm.
will rarely find a player who's like, idly scrolling on their phone, waiting for their turn. Everyone is very invested, especially in the role play.
Hmm.
And just as a whole, the group just always feels cohesive, whether it's a group that normally plays together or a group of six strangers who just comes together for a
Right.
weekend.
Yeah. I mean, they've made the choice to be here and to be here
Most certainly, yeah.
for the 4 days of intensive gaming, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, all your other needs are taken care of
Hmm.
because you have your room that you can go to and sleep, and you have food provided for you in abundance
Hmm.
generally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if D&D Castle is still using the slogan "Eat, Sleep, Roll Dice," but yes, that is basically what you do.
And in fact, that is one of the signatures that I use on a regular basis at the bottom of the emails that I
Nice. There
send.
you go.
So, yes, eat, sleep, roll dice with us here at D&D in a Castle. And the other question that I had that's related to that is since you've come back as many times as you have,
Yes.
you get a feel for the type of community that's here, and you know that there's many repeat guests that do come
Certainly.
back
Yes.
even more than you might imagine.
Hmm.
Some coming to multiple seasons in a year, or multiple rounds back to back.
Yes.
And so, with that element, but also the way that you have a set of maybe comrades at arms, the other dungeon masters on the rosters that show up in the same frequency that you do,
Hmm.
how do you find the community has developed over the years of doing these events?
Well, it's great. The Between the dungeon masters, of course, you get because we often see each other at other events and Gen Con and
Hmm.
things like that. But it's true. It's also with the guests because whether you mentioned earlier that there's people who've played at my table before who have rebooked, and so sometimes you see players returning to your table, but you also just see people who you may have seen around the castle at other people's tables,
Right,
and then you realize this round's like, oh hey, I finally get Arnie at my table, that
right,
kind of thing.
right.
I'll use him as an example because he was great, uh, and
Really great.
he really great. Yeah, so you'll get to know these people. You might have been chatting with people about Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs for maybe a couple of years before they actually, oh hey, we finally get to play a campaign together.
Yeah, sit
Yeah.
down and enjoy. Fantastic. Allow me a moment to just pull up a couple of questions for you,
Mhm.
and let me see here. Right. So a couple quick fire questions for you.
Quick
Let's move
fire. All
into a
right.
quick fire segment.
Very well.
What are you best known for in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons?
Probably Black Dice Society.
Black Dice Society.
Mhm.
Other than Dungeon Master, what is/was your main vocation?
Actor.
Actor.
Mhm.
And what are you working on in this moment? What current projects do you have?
Current projects that are coming up,
Yeah,
or
coming
are
up.
you talking Dungeons and Dragons or just in general?
Well, I'll give it in general. Feel free.
Sure. Well, I'm currently in the process of recording the final narrative chapters of The Long Dark, which is a video game that's actually it started about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And much like the old Walking Dead games that Telltale did, we periodically release narrative episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It is sort of more of a sandbox survival game. In
Mhm.
fact, it's often referred to as Player versus Canada,
Right.
because it's a post-apocalyptic game, but a very beautiful one,
Hmm.
where a geomagnetic event has knocked out all power on Earth, and my character is a bush pilot who was in the air above northern Canada when it happened.
Right.
So you crash, and essentially the game is trying not to starve or freeze to death,
Mhm.
or be eaten by wolves,
Mhm.
which are also much more aggressive because of the geomagnetic event.
Okay.
And there are narrative chapters. And for those who are fans of Mass Effect, little Easter egg is that Jennifer Hale and I are both in the game, and we're
Aha.
not playing the same character this time.
Not this time.
No, we're actually playing a divorced couple, so I actually get scenes with Jennifer, which is very nice. And David Hayter is in it,
Mhm.
who people will know as Snake from Metal Gear Solid,
Right.
and Elias Defexis, another great voice actor. And we're all Canadian, so it's a very Canadian game,
Right.
hence Player versus Canada.
Player versus
So yeah,
Canada.
we're finally doing the final narrative chapters of
Mhm.
that. There is also the Fringe Festival. I
Mhm.
do the Fringe Festival every year, big theater festival, and this year I'll be doing my standard show, Gordon's Big Bald Head, which I do with my friend Jacob Bannigan, usually with Ron Peterson, but he's got another gig this year, so hey,
Mhm.
two-way split instead of three, which is great.
Hey.
And so we do a show called Gordon's Big Bald Head, and our format for that is we essentially give the audience the Fringe program. So there,
Mhm.
many, a couple of hundred shows in there. They will pick a random one. We will read the synopsis out loud, and then we'll
Mhm.
improvise our own version of that just based on the synopsis.
The entire show.
Yes, the entire show for an hour. And then I'll also be doing a show with Colin Mockery called Colin Mockery and Friends. And I am one of the friends. So we're
Wow.
looking forward to that. Colin is always a joy to improvise with and a very
Mhm.
nice man to boot.
Mhm. Wow. What a lineup.
Yes, well, thank you. Yeah.
Incredible. And the Fringe Festival you're referring to is the Edmonton Fringe
Yes,
Festival.
I should specify because there are lots of fringe festivals throughout the
Mhm.
world. The Edmonton Fringe Festival, which
Mhm.
is actually the biggest fringe festival in North America.
Indeed.
Mhm.
And I've also had the opportunity to do a couple of shows there as well, as that is my hometown.
Of course, yeah,
I've been
yes.
able to put on a couple of shows in the past, although I've not been back to the Edmonton Fringe Festival now in maybe 5, 6 years.
The time is right.
It is right.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I'll have to time it, get there at the right time of the year.
Yes.
Fantastic. And the last, well, we've moved on from quickfire at this point, but
Mhm.
tell me, for yourself, what formative D&D memory got you on the path of your love of Dungeons and Dragons?
I'd say I was hooked right from the beginning, my very first game. And I still remember
Mm-hmm.
the first game, and I can pinpoint it exactly in time
Mm.
because the kid who was my dungeon master, I was playing with kids that were a couple of years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very excited to show me the new book, which was
Mm.
Fiend Folio. And I know that came
Ah,
out in 1981.
right.
So I still remember, the first time I saw the cover art of Fiend Folio with
Mm-hmm.
like the Githyanki with the sword,
Right.
and yeah, and pretty much every, all of those books, like the very iconic Player's Handbook with like
Mm-hmm.
the demon statue with the thief stealing the jeweled eye,
Right.
and yeah, those are all very formative memories.
Hmm. And from your experience, what is the power of Dungeons and Dragons that makes it so attractive for people to jump into and invest time and energy in?
Well, I mean, people love stories,
Mm-hmm.
and Dungeons and Dragons, at its best, is always collaborative storytelling with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
and the dice also giving suggestions. And in that way, it is very much like improv,
Mm-hmm.
because it will be best when you follow the rules of improv, which is to accept and say yes. And make the other guy look good. Like
Mm-hmm.
always be supportive of your fellow players, and keep in mind, as a dungeon master, you're not just telling a story, you and the players are telling a story together.
Right. Yeah. Which, from what I understand, is part of the joy is that you walk away with the memory of that story all imprinted on you. You have these shared moments that, from my understanding, and maybe you've got many of your own examples to share about this, of forging friendships around the table.
Most definitely,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And there are people who've been my players who I end up hanging out with, and we become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that you've played with somebody, you'll always remember. It's like, oh yeah, you were the dwarf, yes, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And those friendships can last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No doubt. So at this point, then, what I'll do, since we have you here with us, sharing with the audience the various ins and outs of Dungeons and Dragons as you've experienced it,
Mhm.
I'll ask you to invite our audience, anybody watching, to join you specifically at your table in 2026, and invite them, and then we'll close out our time together.
Of course.
Right?
I humbly invite you to join me at Walworth Castle in the spring of 2026, April 26th to 30th, for Agents of the Kargat. Azalin Rex commands it.
You heard it here,
Mhm.
Azalin Rex, and right from the voice of Mark Meer. We're excited that you joined us for this time, and we look forward to hosting you at D&D in a Castle.
Goodbye, Internet.